What's up? What's up, family? This is Super Mike. I'm going to get into a little bit of the. Um, Let me change this up here. Let me get into some of the topic, which should be this. Yeah. So these people want to make prostitution legal. And this is from NPR. I'll read some of this. This little stupid. Ugh. This is crap in my way. I hate this. Greetings, peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, Black Power, and my name is Super Mike 2164. Uh, and what I'm trying to organize my channel around is Black empowerment, uh, and just getting information to the people, getting information to us. Uh, the only reason why getting information to the Black community is radical is because you have to be stupid in in order to be easily controlled. You have to be extremely ignorant. So I guess there is a difference between ignorance and stupidness because we're not necessarily stupid. Some of us are, and we behave stupidly, but mostly we're ignorant, and we have an aversion. We run away from intelligent things. Intelligent discourse has to be pushed on Black people. It's almost like taking medicine that is nasty, even though you're sick and it's going to help you. So, with that being said, I'm going to get into the topic. Uh, and the reason why I chose this topic, uh, I've been looking over also about the abduction phenomenon that many in our community are starting to pay attention, especially of Black women. Brother Rizza did a good video. Sister Zaza Ali did a good video. There's been plenty of good content that's coming out that's creating awareness for our people. And I'm gonna click the link to Brother Rizza and Zaza Ali's. Also, I looked at a clip from Megan McCain how she talked about um, and Fly Nubian Queen did a compilation clip about the abduction of Black women. And also, I posted something on my Facebook channel. See if I can do that. Facebook. This is my Facebook channel. You can join Facebook. Black is not a color. Waking up the original family. But we can't afford to allow silly, unimportant uh, side issues to. I mean, this is important as well. We can't allow side issues to cause us to think that it's not important to protect Black women, um, especially as Black men. Also, we did this. Also, I want to show you this here. I had a small debate with a couple of brothers because I posted this. Actually, I'll do it this way. They're still talking about me. They want to legalize prostitution. And my position on that is if you legalize prostitution, what do you expect to happen? The increase in demand of flesh is going to happen. You're going to open the door to slavery. This is what slavery is. Slavery is flesh addiction. Oh, goodness. This thing is tripping. Oh, whatever. It's acting up. Anyway, when you legalize prostitution, you open the door to sex slavery because if you think about it, if you know a little bit of the history of the Moorish uh, trade, even the Greeks, even the Romans, uh, that is a big part of the opening. That's how our black society became weak enough to even open the door to see human beings as commodities. You see, this is where this whole capitalism mindset develops out of. You know, cash rules everything around me. Okay, money over people, money over hoes and bitches and people. Okay, this is the source of enslavement. And if you are not about the business of pushing that, reversing that course, because we're so steeped in it as a human culture, as a planetary culture, it literally will take thousands of years, probably 1,000 years to clean that up. But every generation should be about the business of reversing that. People, the well-being of people is the primary, is above the material value of things. Okay, and that's important. If we don't do that, then we become an abusive society, which we are. We become a pimping society, which we are, an enslaving society, which this society is. Now, Black American is in a unique position because we have borne some of the worst results of enslavement, of abuse, of debauchery, of murder, of killing, of sadistic this dehumanization. We have borne some of the worst of that in the world. Now we're not the only ones who are victims of that, but we as a group, millions of us are the results, and all of our dysfunction is the result of all of that. You know, all of that damn pimping, flesh addiction, using humans as cows, as farm animals. Okay, that mindset, if you laugh at reversing that mindset, you're not really about the business. Okay, you're not really about the business. Okay, so that's the number one thing. You have to deal with that in your own mind. If you are someone that thinks that legalizing pimping or pimp prostitution is a good thing and it's going to benefit the society somehow, um, you're getting a problem. So I'll just post what I posted this. Y'all vote for this crap. This will increase the demand for black sex traffic. So right now we're having a problem with women being abducted And we had some brothers that disagreed with me. We had a brother that did agree with me. Shout out to Rufus Reddick. Uh, and then one brother, Tommy Dozier, says, should you really be able to criminalize a human having sex in exchange for money? And I said, yeah, because currently, he says, women brag about being able to exchange sex for money. In my book, in the current society, what we're dealing with, that we have to tolerate that. It's not our eventual reality we want to build on, but that's fine for now. A woman, if she wants to verify financial and money and resource uh, capability of her man before she provides herself and opens herself up to that man, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that in this climate. But when you're talking about institutionalized business and capitalization off of female and young males and homosexuality, all these type of situations, what you're doing is, excuse me, what you're doing is you're encouraging people uh, to kidnap and threaten people and pimp them. That's what you're encouraging. And I dropped a couple of Jews to prove my point. I'm gonna now. Sometimes people don't care about if you're proving your point with facts. They don't care about that. Some people don't care about facts, but we want to put the facts out there. So I'm gonna read something from Honorable Elijah Muhammad in this book. Our Savior has arrived. It's just talking about the world and the difference between what is coming in and what's going out. And what we're going to say is that Black America, we're having a lot of problems because we're not comfortable uh, with the current administration of this world. And the world, you know, wants us to disappear. But they've been unable to make that happen over the past few centuries. So they're in mortal fear of us gaining power. And with every chance they can, they want to delay that power. But we represent our best minds. And when I say our best minds, right now, I understand that we are in a situation of, we're dealing with some death, mental death going on. But we do, we should be against all forms of slavery. We should be against all forms of slavery. And I would like to believe that the majority of us, if you ask a person, "Are you for slavery?" A black man's gonna say no. He's gonna say no without hesitation. Now I'm gonna read this here. The old world is of mischief making and bloodshed is now on its way out in order to make room for the new world of righteousness and peace. Who's gonna lead that world? You got to have a community that's bent on, that has a trajectory, that has a impetus towards righteousness and peace. This is not magic, okay? This world is going out, and it takes millions of people who have that impetus towards righteousness and peace to be able to bring in a new world. But, and I'm going to say this, part of our suffering is to show us how it feels to be on the bottom. And when you have that type of history ingrained in your DNA, ingrained in your story, ingrained in your heroes, your sheroes, then your community is founded on something that is totally against enslavement. And those will be our lessons to guide our futures, you see. So that suffering, unfortunately, well, that suffering is, it's necessary in order for us to develop a strong community that will be hell bent on eradicating that type of suffering from the planet, because we went through it and we know we don't want that type of rule on the planet. And so let's read a little bit in this article. I want to get through this real quick. Okay, that's us again. They want to legalize damn prostitution. Sex work is illegal in most of the United States. And this is from NPR. Former California Attorney General, Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris recently came out in favor of decriminalizing sex workers. And now we see that when you decriminalize this thing, what happens in other countries that decriminalize this? And this is why we have a problem with this so-called Democratic establishment right now, because the Democrats, they they give us some good sounding words, but really they slipping in a bunch of trash. In this particular photo here is LGBTQ immigrant rights and criminal justice reform groups launched a coalition. So this degenerate mindset, okay, this is what's killing us right now. I wish I can get this crap out the way here. I'm trying to figure out how to get this out the way. And so, yeah, we can't deal with this, because what they're doing here, and I'm gonna post this article so you guys can read the most of it. But Kamala Harris, that's how she got to power. She used her body pretty much and her good looks to actually pimp herself. And so when you have that type of mindset, you don't want that to be your leader, because they're going to increase the ability and increase the power of pimp and of rape culture. Okay, and so they think they're being pro feminist, pro woman power, but what you're doing is you're increasing the impetus for people to, um, you know, to objectify a woman, and she can't realize her full potential. So let's look at this here. And so what happens when you take this massive underground economy and decriminalize it? Nevada might offer a clue. Brothels are legal there in certain counties. See, even in Nevada, it's not legal in the whole state. In certain counties. In Schrager's book, an economist walks into a brothel. She investigates the financial workings of the Nevada brothel industry. She found that on average, it's 300% more expensive to hire a sex worker in a Nevada brothel than in a illegal setting. Schrager thinks it's because workers and customers prefer to pay for the safety and health checks of a brothel. Sex work is risky for everyone, she says. Even though it's legal in Nevada, she says it's risky. You take a lot of risk as a customer too. And when you're working in a brothel, you're assured complete anonymity. Anonymity. They've been fully screened for diseases. But many activists and academics say decriminalize would help protect sex workers and could have a public health benefit. Take the case of Rhode Island. A loophole made sex work practice behind closed doors legal there between 2003 and 2009. Baylor University economist Scott Cunningham and his colleagues found that during those years the sex trade grew. See, increased. See, during those years the sex trade grew. So at least they admit on this particular article that um, when you legalize something, it increases the demand of it. Okay. So now, when increased demand, girls are going to be pulled into that. Okay. So now, then you got to deal with the psychological effects of of working in that type of industry and maybe leaving that industry and then trying to develop some type of stable relationship. It's not just like regular work. So, but Cunningham's points to some other important findings. During that time period, the number of rapes reported to police in the state declined by over a third, and gonorrhea among all women declined by 39%. Of course, changes in prostitution laws might not be the only cause, but Cunningham says the trade-off is you make it safer to some degree. You grow the industry. So, okay, so they're kind of advocating it right now. Rhode Island makes sex work illegal again in 2009, in part under pressure from some anti trafficking advocates. So I wonder what their side of the story was. They made the sex work illegal again in 2009 in Rhode Island. Obviously, some people weren't happy. See, anti trafficking advocates. See, that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing in human trafficking. Okay, so this is more like a pro uh, prostitution article, but the anti trafficking. See, so the prostitution is legal, but the trafficking advocates had a problem. And that's what we're dealing with now. It's a lot of people being kidnapped. So that's the thing. The debate about sex work always gets linked to trafficking, people who get forced into it against their will. So this is the key point. Sex work increases demand, which of course this attracts many unscrupulous individuals, and these people have no problem with kidnapping, beating, and forcing women and girls and young boys into sex work. So these people are abused people. They look like they're consenting. They're consenting from the moment, but they're under a an abusive situation that they feel threatened. They don't feel safe. Okay. And so, economist Axel Dreyer from the University of Heidelberg in Germany teamed up with the London School of Economics to analyze the link between trafficking and prostitution laws. See, that's key. They didn't say trafficking and prostitution, they said trafficking and prostitution laws in 150 countries. If prostitution is legal, there is more human trafficking simply because the market is larger, he says. So this economist, Axel Dreyer from University of Heidelberg in Germany, teamed up with the London School of Economics to analyze the link between trafficking and prostitution laws in 150 countries. If prostitution is illegal, there is more human trafficking simply because the market is larger. And it's just the bottom line. It makes sense too. Now, of course, you're going to have the detractors attack it. It's a controversial study. Even Dreyer admits that reliable data on sex trafficking is really hard to find. So these are people that's trying to blow holes in the subject. And but these people, these Kamala Harris and all these LGBT activists, and you know, oh my God, they want to make all this crap legal. Oh my God. So anyway, that's that one subject. That's that one story. That's NPR. Now we got this one in California. This woman, she was being pimped out She was being pimped out um, on the streets, and a police officer in um, California here saved her. She was from Oakland. She was being pimped out. She was sex slaves. The police officer, so called, saved her, but he saved her for himself, and he turned her into a badge bunny. So if you've got a terminology for one person, a type of situation, badge bunny, that means that there are more women like this. So this California teen, they call her, and see, they don't want to say her name, but we'll get her name in a minute. So she's at the center of a multi-agency sex scandal, finally speaking out about the officer who took her from a pimp and turned her into a badge bunny for 28 cops across 5 different police departments. The fallout has caused 2 officers to commit suicide. 14 Oakland cops have resigned already. So Oakland PD lost 3 chiefs. This is all from sex. Now, when you have this as now let's say this was legal. None of these people, now these people unscrupulous, they passing this chick around. Just imagine it's all legal now. So what would the cops be doing when they see that opportunity? These unscrupulous ones, would they pimp out women because they're the cops now, legally pimping? I mean, this is what we're asking for here. Okay, just imagine if you have a criminal past, or your children, your sons have a criminal past, and a police officer wants to pimp you out. They can threaten you. I'll arrest your son. I'll arrest you. Put you in jail for this. Put you in jail for that. You go take care of this for me, and you good. That will work on people. Okay, when you have this situation legal, you know, those women, they won't, or even the boys, or whatever situation that one wants to be in, they won't have recourse because it's illegal. So these people who advocate for this crap to be legal, all they're thinking about is a, a single layer of reality, which is it probably just their own little reality and what they would do, what they're thinking about. And then if you're talking about regulating something, why should we change it? It's already being regulated. Just leave it the way it is. You're talking about making something legal, then regulating it. That don't make sense. Just leave it the way it is. If a woman wants to demand that a man have a certain amount of money before she be uh, becomes his girlfriend or whatever, that's already legal. Just leave it alone. So, and yeah, so right now that's just the case. I'll link this in here too. So after this scandal, the Oakland PD is on its 7th chief since 2011 alone. Yeah, I mean, this is what we're dealing with in America. Now let's look at another thing here. Hold on a second. And see, even all of that even, this, we're dealing with ghetto gaggers, and we're just we bombarded with a lot of flesh addiction. The body of a woman is mesmerizing to a man. That is nature, and it's nothing wrong with it, but we become perverted. We can pervert that natural, uh, that natural beauty in a mind of a man, because when you're bombarding people with porn, you're bombarding people with all of these slavish scenarios, and even with the bikinis, they're just advertising. They're like a Burger King commercial or a pizza commercial. When you see that commercial, you want to go out there and get one of those products. So when you're bombarded with these type of women, you got all this internet crap going on. When you're bombarded with that, then you're pulling people in to go out there, and some of these people are unstable and they will go out there and abuse. And people will argue, oh, if they were going to abuse, they're going to abuse no matter what. That's not true. The culture incentivizes abuse. Okay. If the culture would incentivize healing, we would have, we would lower that abuse number. We would get more healing. Okay. Here's another thing. Three men charged in a Contra Costa sex slave case. Three Pittsburgh men have been charged in their alleged roles as sex trafficking and guerrilla pimping in Contra Costa County. This is in California. This is the north. This is the Bay, North Bay. These are black guys too, actually. So Eric Bremen, Roy Gordon, and Derek Harp. This was back in 2014, but I think they got convicted in 2017. But they're charged with conspiracy to commit human trafficking, torture, gang rape, and other offenses in a series of incidents from 2013 to 2006 in Pittsburgh, Antioch, and these are California cities. Women victimized by the defendants, beaten and terrorized into submission as sex slaves, had their heads shaved, they were passed around between men. You know, basically, they were turned into slaves. Okay? If we legalize prostitution, all of those guys are still out there abusing. Okay? That's all legal. We don't want that. We don't want that to be normal. That's just going to increase the danger in our schools. I mean, the girls already, it's already dangerous, and we can reduce that danger. But so we go around the world. Women are being abducted and sold into. Now, Germany has legalized prostitution and brothels, and there's many of them that want to stop this legalization. But we see that many countries are kidnapping girls, and people are kidnapping girls from countries and beating them up, taking them to Germany where they don't know anyone and they can't speak the language good. And they tell them once they work for a certain amount of years, they will be allowed to take some money and go free, and they'll live. So this is what you got going on here, and this is another world, Riffer world. I'll link this into the subject as well. So yeah, we don't want to legalize that crap. We don't want that mess legal. And let me see if I can get this. I'm gonna try to. Yeah, we don't want that stuff legal. And anybody that sees me, go ahead and give me a like. What's up, everybody? Give me a like. And yeah, I'm trying to grow this channel. We'll try to get more intelligent conversation. We'll try to get, let me try to get rid of that. See if I can, oops, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. We don't want that stuff. We don't want slavery. We don't want any forms of slavery. We want to develop the human mind. We don't want, you know, I'm a, we just don't want that going on. If you want enslavement, then I think you're going to be against the black. You're going to be anti-black. So I'm gonna end it there because I don't like talking when I don't really have when I think I've made my point. I went through a few subjects, and yeah, that's it. All right, peace.